This particular lab experiment is called decomposition of baking soda. The purpose of this lab is to determine how baking soda, sodium hydrogen carbonate, undergoes decomposition when heated. I would have a purpose, a procedure, and a data table prepared ahead of time in order that when I do the experiment, I can record that bit of data which I will observe, and also possibly to write down the procedure as we undergo the reaction. The equipment that I have is a balance, a spatula, a sample of baking soda in a little bottle, a weighing bottle. I have a burner, which in this case is a Meeker burner, but a Bunsen burner would work as well. And I have a ring stand, in which the ring has a wire gauze, and then we have a test tube sitting on that ring stand with the wire gauze. We're going to weigh out a sample of baking soda, so I'm going to do that right now. I have my test tube on the balance. I'm going to record that data. Then next step is I'm going to add some baking soda to that. Having added the baking soda to the test tube, I'm now going to reweigh the test tube. At this point, I'm all set. I'm going to put the test tube with the baking soda onto the wire gauze. In putting the test tube on the wire gauze, I have spread out my baking soda enough so that it isn't all at the bottom of the test tube. I'm just tapping the test tube slightly to allow for the baking soda to be approximately spread out over half to 2/3 of the bottom, now at the bottom of the test tube, and I'm going to place this onto my ring stand wire gauze. I'm careful to point the opening of the test tube away from everybody, and I am now going to turn the burner on, light the burner, and start heating the bacon. Having lit the burner, now I'm going to put the burner flame underneath the test tube, moving that flame back and forth, heating for approximately 2 minutes. If you go more than 2 minutes, that's fine. Even 3 minutes is fine. So I'm going to be heating for that long. You're moving that flame back and forth on along the bottom of the test tube. One should note that the burner can be held either at the base, as is being held right now, or right here. Do not hold the barrel of the burner. You will burn your hands and have a serious burn. What you'll notice is that there's some moisture being formed at the very end of the test tube as you're heating. Eventually that will go away. So we've now heated for the required amount of time. We're going to turn the burner off at the source and allow the test tube to cool. I can pick up that test tube with a pair of test tube clamp and place that on the lab table to cool down. About 3 to 5 minutes, that test tube will be cool enough that one can place it on the balance. Now that the test tube has cooled down, we can weigh our sample in the test tube after the first heating. What we would do next is heat a second time in a similar way to the first, probably heating for only about 2 minutes, allowing to cool and reweighing. If the samples are within 0.02 grams of one another, or thereabouts, maybe 0.03, that's probably an indication that we have driven off anything that's going to come off and the reaction is complete. Once we've done that, we're all done with the experiment, and we can take our test tube, pour out the solid into a wastebasket, and put the test tube back on the desktop and do our calculations. We're all done with the experimental part of this particular experiment on the decomposition of baking soda. The remainder is to do calculations, the stoichiometry, to figure out which of the three reactions given is the correct one.